Financial stress reduces cognitive performance by 13 to 14 IQ points. Managing energy matters more than managing your time. 90% of financial behavior is driven by beliefs formed in childhood. If you're exhausted, not because you're lazy, but because you're doing everything right, this video is for you. Most high-achieving women are burning out not really because they're doing too much. It's because they're trying to live their life using systems that were not designed for them, and no planner is going to fix that. I'm Ayana. I'm an Ivy League grad who spent years in corporate strategy and did a stint working on products at Google Cloud, and now I'm a multi-founder and a fractional chief product officer. I've been steeped in performance under pressure ever since I can remember, so I know a thing or two about high performers and burnout. What I learned from institutions like Harvard, Princeton, Berkeley changed how I view time, energy, and money completely. In years of sitting in rooms full of brilliant, capable people, here's what I always noticed. The people who succeeded weren't smarter. They weren't more disciplined. They weren't even working harder. They had control over these three areas that most people kind of leave to chance. They had control over their time, control over their energy, and control over their money. Almost all the advice that we hear, wake up early, be more disciplined, buy another planner, is based on misunderstandings of how our brains and our bodies actually work. So today, I'm walking you through some research-backed frameworks, the same behavioral science that's used to design high-performance systems and high-performance teams in billion-dollar companies. I'll explain what's exactly happening when you feel stuck, despite knowing that you're doing everything right. Let's start with what most women blame themselves for: time. Now, I'm a person that believes that we are to manage time, not time manage us. However, I did learn some things about how time affects women differently that comes into play here. Arlie Hochschild at UK Berkeley studied working moms for decades. What she found was when you combine paid work, childcare, and household management, women who manage the home work an extra month per year compared to their partners who do not. That's over 700 additional hours of invisible labor. It's not metaphorical, it's literal. And it gets worse. Bridget Schultz, director of the Better Life Lab in New America, coined the term that I love. It's called time confetti. Your time isn't just being limited, it's being shredded into fragments too small to be restorative. What this looks like is, let's say you technically have an hour to do something, but you're mentally tracking the pickups, the emails, dinner, permission slips. The constant vigilance activates your stress response. Research shows that our prefrontal cortex, the part visible for planning and decision-making, literally shrinks under chronic stress, and your amygdala, the fear center, takes over. So when someone tells you to just manage your time better, they're kind of ignoring the structural reality that many women are carrying double workload with fragmented attention. And that's not a discipline problem. That's a systems problem. That's a culture problem. The way we can combat this is renegotiating household labor, designing boundaries that actually stick, creating processes that protect time blocks that are for you. That's the real difficult work. And then I found this other concept that attacks us, overachievers. Daniel Kahneman won a Nobel Peace Prize for studying cognitive bias. One of his most important findings is this planning fallacy. Only 30% of grad students finished their thesis when they predicted they would in his study. The average completion time, 55.5 days. Their predicted time, guess what? 33.9 days. Even their worst case estimates were way too optimistic. And that isn't a flaw, that's neurological. Your brain can't act roles, the error margin is even worse. The solution really isn't trying to estimate better either. It's about building in an actual buffer based on the past reality, not a future optimism. If you've never done something before, just expect that it's going to take you longer. If you've done something and now all of a sudden you want to cut that time in half, be realistic that you're probably going to do it at a very similar rate that you did it last time. You get good at this by tracking your real-time usage, blocking days, building buffers, catching yourself in the middle of that planning fallacy when you're about to overextend yourself for something. That's the real practice. Now let's talk about energy. Here's what elite performance research shows. Managing energy matters more than managing your time. Jim Lohr and Tony Schwartz at the Human Performance Institute studied elite athletes and executives for over 30 years. Their core insight, published in Harvard Business Review, said that time is fixed. However, energy is renewable. That's good news for us. That means that there's something that we can do. They identified that there's 4 dimensions of energy. Physical, which is sleep, nutrition, recovery. Emotional, which is where we have confidence, connection, and self-control. Mental, focus, optimism, and attention fall in this realm. And then spiritual, this is where you have meaning, values, purpose. Johnson & Johnson found that employees who implemented energy rituals like 20-minute walks and planning breaks for their renewal completed work in 1/3 of the time with higher quality. If you're hitting your goals, but you're so exhausted, you're likely deficit in one or more of these dimensions. So your wins don't feel like real wins because you're tired. This one realization that I had about stress has changed everything for me personally. And it's this concept of stress cycles. Stressors and stress are not actually the same. So Emily and Amelia Nagoski, authors of Burnout, found that removing the stressor doesn't actually complete the stress cycle, the stress response in your body. So our ancestors ran from lions. That movement in their body completed the stress cycle. Today, when you get a stressful email, maybe your boss or your coworkers were getting on your nerves, or you forgot to do something, something is due. The stressor might be gone by you responding or dealing with it, but the stress in your body is still there because all you've been doing is sitting at your desk. The Nagoski sisters have this great visual in their book, and they call it emotion tunnels. Exhaustion happens when you get stuck inside the tunnel. And they identified that there's 7 ways to completely get through a stress cycle and make sure that stress has exited your body. Here they are. Physical activity, right? You knew that. Deep breathing, positive social interaction, laughter, affection, crying, and creative expression. So if you don't have one or more of those releases every day, you're holding on to stressing your body. And on top of that, women are conditioned to give constantly. Your worth is tied to service. So when I suggest 20 minutes for yourself, 20 minutes to exit that stress, I know you're saying, Ayana, I don't have time. But that's not a personal failure. That's cultural conditioning. How we overcome is by recognizing incomplete stress cycles that need to be released and making it a priority. Building rituals, confronting this giver belief that you have to always give to someone else instead of giving to yourself. That's the real transformational work. Okay, I found some really interesting things about money stress. Get this. Financial stress apparently reduces cognitive performance by 13 to 14 IQ points. Can you believe that? That's research from Harvard and Princeton. And basically what they're saying is financial stress creates more impairment than staying awake for a whole 24 hours. They call it the bandwidth tax. And it's driven by perceived scarcity, not even actual income problems. 72% of Americans report money as their top stressor. Women report higher financial stress than men overall. And when you make poor decisions under stress, that's neurological. It's not moral. It's not you just making bad decisions. How do you manage this? Creating financial slack wherever you can. Creating opportunities for you to live below your means. Having control over your money situation. Reducing the cognitive load. Confronting scarcity by actually knowing your numbers versus inventing stress. That can change everything. Now that we know that financial stress is there, it is to be managed, let's also talk about some of the ways that we get into loops around money. 90% of financial behavior is driven by beliefs formed in childhood. Dr. Brad Collins identifies 4 money scripts: abundance, worship, status, and vigilance. For high-achieving women, conflicting scripts are often common. On one hand, you're saying, I deserve success. And on the other hand, you're saying, well, good people don't focus on money. And that internal conflict, it's confusing. The contradiction is keeping you stuck. As Sarah Newcomb says, money management is less about numbers and more about the stories that we tell ourselves. So control matters more than the amount. Here's what I want to leave you with. No matter how you're feeling about your time, energy, or money use right now, please know that you're not lazy, you're not broken, you're not failing. You're actively, right now, learning what to do. Issues with time, energy, and money are not personal flaws. They're systems problems, and these frameworks help us to understand why you feel stuck. But I know from experience and from my coaching practice that knowing is not the same as doing. How you break through is designing systems, confronting beliefs, building rituals, creating accountability. That's where the real transformation happens. And it's not meant to be done alone. I created something for you. It's called Your Audacious Year. It's not a course you'll forget or a playbook you'll never open. It's a monthly coaching, audio notes, actions, insights delivered right to your inbox. One purchase and ongoing support. And you know what? I'm practically giving it away because becoming unstoppable isn't about trying harder, and I want so many more of us to win. It's about building systems that finally fit your life. The link is below. Let's be audacious together.